In today's news, Nature's Little Secrets is out. BVI, we have a problem, a drug problem, that is. Officials admit to robust drug trade in the British Virgin Islands. Drug trade linked to recent deaths. Commissioner says COVID restrictions have created a stockpile of drugs.
We also see Paraquita Bay Farmers continuing to cry out for water.
BVI tops Global Financial Center Index for Latin America and the Caribbean.
And Police Commissioner Michael Matthews saying fake news, no bodies were found in the western area.
Viewers, all this and so much more when 284 News returns.
The win.
What in the hell?
I'm freaking out.
Is about these people.
It's always a pleasure coming to you live and direct from the
What's poppin'? What's really good?
Davis has won it for the Lakers.
Welcome everybody. It's Friday, March 19th, 2021. A fantastic Friday to each and every one of you. We're coming to you live and direct out of Tortola in the British Virgin Islands. I'm Ron Grant.
And my name is Javon Wilson. So thrilled to be joining you for another edition of 284 News. Now, we begin tonight's newscast by, first of all, dispelling rumors of two bodies being found floating in the western area. Of course, these rumors were circulating via social media all today. Now, members of the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force have confirmed that the circulating rumor is fake, and investigations have proven that the allegation is untrue. The police is kindly imploring persons to refrain from sharing information that suggests otherwise. The Police Commissioner Michael Matthews also said, of course, speaking on the matter, said that if persons are caught circulating rumors, they will be arrested and charged. At this point, we do not know what the origin of that post is. Of course, that remains unknown. However, residents are wondering, Ron, why this came about, and some are even questioning whether this may have been a distraction from something else. Additionally, we see the top cop making a passionate plea to the community to speak out when they have evidence on these crimes that we've been seeing, especially in recent times, high-profile crimes. He's saying, get angry. And of course, we'll be getting into all the details, as we move through the newscast.
Viewers, beginning on the local scene here in the British Virgin Islands at a joint press conference held yesterday, March 18th, on the present state of affairs regarding national security in the British Virgin Islands, the territory's leaders admitted to the BVI having a serious drug problem and an extremely vigorous drug trade, which they say is a direct result of the recent brazen criminal activity and murders the territory has seen and chances are will continue to see unless something is done. Now, the joint press conference held by leader of government business, the Honorable Andrew A. Foy, was joined by Police Commissioner Michael Matthews and Governor of the Virgin Islands, John J. Ranking. The three men pledged to do everything possible to clamp down on the rising problem, but called for a change in mindset and the assistance of the general public in providing information. Police Commissioner Michael Matthews opened with revelations, saying, and I quote, "Since September of 2020, my major crime team have been investigating the deaths of 8 persons, some brutally gunned down in broad daylight within brutally visible neighborhoods and communities that has left us shaken. The latest being the brutal slaying of Mr. Deverson Williams on Tuesday, March 16th afternoon. We have also had a number of drug seizures within the same period of time. And while we have recorded a number of seizures over the years, I believe unique to this situation is the quantity and the short period of time during which these seizures were made. I believe that COVID-19 travel restrictions have created a stockpile and thus the reason for such large quantities." Now, Matthew further continued by saying, "I am not at liberty to speak on any specific cases as all these inquiries are live and active, but I will say that we have reason to believe in the deaths of several of these individuals the drug trade played a factor. I will not sugarcoat it." Matthews confirmed that presently the territory has a number of UK officers on short-term contracts assisting the Virgin Islands with investigations and a number of others who will be joining shortly. Now, for obvious reasons, the numbers of officers were not shared. However, Matthews said him and his team are also exploring specialist capabilities to infiltrate the drug trade, saying, "I have every reason to believe our efforts to quell the unease and bring at least a short-term end to the violence and the drug trade will be successful. Now, speaking on the change of mindset, Commissioner Matthews called for residents to change their mindset. He said, and I quote, "Greater than this and bringing about justice in the brutal murder of the young male on Tuesday afternoon is the changing of mindsets. In the drug trade, guns off the street does not equate to a safer community. If there is among us murderers, greedy intent, large drug seizures does not equate to less drugs on the street. It only opens the way for greater demand, and unfortunately, 1 or 2 or 12 behind the prison bars just means others will take their place." Now, he continued by saying, "We have a unique opportunity to change course here. There is something exceptional about the way of life in the territory. You enjoy a luxury of being able to be comfortable that living in a safe place can only bring. Many relocate to these shores because of it. It cannot be taken for granted. The drug culture will take that from you if you turn a blind eye to transshipments of drug in the territory. As a whole, we will suffer. Now, it promises considerable immediate wealth in the short term," he said, "but there will be no joy on earth to enjoy it, much less a small territory like this one. Now, there is always someone trying to eliminate you to get the upper hand," he continued. "I have only a few more weeks here in the territory, but we will all need to think carefully about the future. If you are involved in the drug trade, reflect on where it will take you and your family, your community, and the future of the territory." Very strong words by the Commissioner of Police, outgoing Commissioner of Police, Mr. Michael Matthews.
Yes, and it's a very troubling time in the BVI, not only because of the lives that we're losing aimlessly to not only gun crime, but also the drug trade that our leaders are finally acknowledging as a problem.
Yes.
We've heard about it as the third pillar, and some persons are still oblivious to the fact that it is happening. And so I'm really happy to see our leaders really taking the forefront and calling it what it is, because it is also tarnishing the reputation of the territory as well, which we do know depends on the support not only of overseas tourists, but also our business partners as well regarding the financial services industry.
Well, Jovan, one of the things, that was very important in yesterday's press conference is when asked about the time frame and perhaps the age of how long the drug trade really has been sufficient here in the Virgin Islands. This goes back for a number of years, decades, perhaps even before my time. But as you said, there has been a culture seemingly to push stuff under the rug, and I think we're finally getting to the point, by will or by force, to admit that these issues are present, and it's now time to address them.
Oh, because it's hitting home,
Of
Ron.
course.
And like you said, the COVID restrictions have really brought to light a lot of these activities and brought to halt a lot of these activities as well. Now, we have all seen how all of this has been playing out, especially with the most recent homicide. So the big question is, what is going to be done about it? Now, Police Commissioner Michael Matthews said that while crime is not unique to the BVI, the force is committed to reducing the spikes we've seen in recent times. Listening.
I think in the past there's been challenges for everyone. This is not unique to the BVI. There's been challenges to everyone around border control. Our close proximity to the US Virgin Islands means that we get an overspill of crime and crime trafficking from there as well, and the ease of transfer of illicit goods between the US and ourselves is made easier by our geographic location. We've got 60-odd islands here with inlets and bays and so forth, and we can't be on every single one of those every 5 minutes of the day. But the good news is that's been recognised. And that's not Mick Matthews, who's the hero that's recognised it. That's been recognised by our government, that's been recognised by our governor, and we're doing something about that. And we're going to invest where other countries in the region still are not investing. So, technology's coming, CCTV, the most modern system in a long time is coming. We're having discussions around radar systems. We're looking, as the governor's already alluded to increasing our capability on the marine side. And this is all supported with the elected government's blessing. And this is putting us ahead of the game compared to other countries. And why are we doing this? Because we still are, and it might not sound like it today in this press conference, but we still are one of the safest places in the Caribbean by far, and our aim is to remain that way. And to do that, we've got to get ahead of the game and invest. And I know that the two gentlemen sat either side of me are committed to doing that.
Now, those are just a few of the approaches that are being used as a result of tackling crime in the territory. Now, the commissioner lamented on the fact that we as a community have to make this issue a responsibility. Many times, murders and of course these high-profile crimes, they go unsolved or undetected because many persons who may have pertinent information refuse to come forward. Now, the top cop is challenging that. He said, get angry in response as it relates to the community listening.
And my message is, in closing, is a simple one. I want the good people of the Virgin Islands, I want you to be angry. I really do want you to be angry about what's happening. But I don't want you to be angry with the governor. I don't want you to be angry with the UK. I don't want you to be angry with our Premier and with our legislators. You can perhaps be angry with me if you want to be, because I'm the Chief of Police, but in reality, don't be angry with the RVIPF. Don't be angry with the officers. Take your anger out on the criminals that are operating in this territory. Be angry about what they're getting away with. Be angry that somebody feels that they can act with impunity and open up with an automatic weapon in our streets and kill someone and put everyone's lives at danger. Be angry about that, and be so angry that you start asking your own questions about who are these criminals, what are they doing in our territory, why are we allowing them to stay, and let's get tough on crime.
Now, Ron, one of the things we do know about the last incident is the fact that this happened in broad daylight, clearly in a situation where persons could have easily been injured. And we do know as well there was a second car involved that was actually also riddled with bullets. Luckily, that person escaped without injury, but that person is now being looked at as a witness, of course, assisting police with the investigations. So now the question of whether police will provide protection, that has surfaced recently, and the commissioner also spoke to that at yesterday's press conference. Listening.
Okay, I can't go into specific details about who it is and what actions the police may be taking. What I can say in general terms is that if people do have information and they wish to bring that information to our attention, but they feel that the possession of that information may put themselves at risk, then there are ways that the police can look at protecting them.
So a few things being echoed here. We do see, like we mentioned initially, there is a culture where we are not doing what we must as citizens to really speak out and arrest this issue. But we have to really think about what would have happened if, someone was injured in the process. What if it was a family member or a friend? And I think in just thinking about that, we will come to realize that it is our responsibility to speak out. And not only that, it continues to affect the reputation of the territory. We have to think about our economy, and we want to be able to continue to boast about the fact that the BVI is a safe place. But when we look at what's happening, that could easily be challenged.
It is not only daunting overall, but it's particularly daunting at this very pivotal time as we seek to reintegrate outsiders into the BVI community, opening our sea borders and welcoming persons to come back into the territory. These are very difficult times. We have been struggling on the economic side. Tourism has taken a blunt, and we don't want it to become a case, of course, we remember the scenario in St. Croix that really changed the trajectory of that island, and to this day they have not been able to catch themselves because of the level of violence, and we definitely have to look at that holistically, and we don't want it to be the sentiments of our territory as well. Viewers, still ahead, the Age-O Police Act resurfaces to come to residents in an effort to finally be passed to fight crime, says the Premier, and DNA a key component. All this and so much more when 284 News returns. Viewers, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Now continuing on the local scene here in the British Virgin Islands. In his statements at the recently held joint press conference, Leader of Government Business, the Honourable Andrew A. Foy, addressed the Age-Old Police Act that he believes is essential in combating crime. The act, which has seen much scrutiny from residents in the past years, has always made it to the House of Assembly for a first reading, but never any further, said Foy. This he plans to change, stating that he will be bringing the act to residents, the district by district, for review and feedback, now which actually only lengthens the process of the same bill actually being passed even more. However, Foy believes it is important for residents to have a say. He said, and I quote, "Whenever necessary, your government will continue to strengthen any existing legislation as well as make penalties stiffer and uncompromising to deter anyone who thinks about or commits these crimes." The Amendment Police Act, which has been around for 7 years or more, recently had its first reading in the House of Assembly. This is another tool to strengthen law enforcement and, of course, to ensure that the modernization of law enforcement processes. Foy continued, the Police Act will now be put forward for public consultation in all 9 districts, and I am appealing to the people of the Virgin Islands to come out and let us shape this legislation so that we can protect lives and livelihoods. Each one must teach one. Premier Foy also spoke to community members who, he says, play an important role. If someone you love, a friend, a family member, someone you have in your household is going on the wrong path, talk to them, urge them to stop and think. Remind them that there are children and loved ones who love them and who need them. We cannot live selfishly. That is not the trait of us Virgin Islanders. We must continue to support the police and other law enforcement agencies by doing our civic duty. Now, government support, Premier Foy continued by saying they have sought to reassure residents of his government's commitment, saying, "Rest assured, your government will not allow the actions of a few individuals to endanger the welfare of the BVI and our economy, while the responsibility for national security and internal security's consultations with the governor and, of course, the police commissioner will continue, and, of course, successful reports that bring diligent support, whether through facilitating legislation or providing funding and other resources," adding that your government will continue working with and supporting all law enforcement agencies and the other elements of our justice system, as we have been doing. For example, he said November 20th, we added 4 new law enforcement vehicles to the police fleet as the government of the Virgin Islands continues to invest in law enforcement. We were pleased to make it necessary, the necessary purchase to further enhance the capabilities to the force to carry out its required responsibilities, and of course also purchasing the searcher, which benefits the HM Customs Department as it pertains to border control.
All right, viewers, as we move on, some very positive news. The British Virgin Islands has been ranked as the top financial center from the Latin America and Caribbean region in the 29th edition of the Global Financial Centers Index, that is the GFCI 29. Now gaining 14th place, the BVI is also the top-ranked British overseas territory. Now first established in 2007, the GFCI provides evaluations of competitiveness and rankings for the major financial centers around the world. Now, commenting on the latest index, Ms. Elise Donovan, who is, of course, the beautiful CEO of BVI Finance, she said, and I quote, "It is good to see the BVI increase its ranking in this global index. This is testament to the continued hard work for our outstanding financial services sector and the BVI's world-class and progressive financial regulatory regime." End of quote. Now, Iran, excellent news considering the constraints we've had across the world. We continue to see our BVI financial services industry being
thriving,
robust and resilient and really surviving the tides of time. Now, as we move on, in Paraquita Bay, farmers continue to face frustrating water woes as it relates to the Paraquita Bay estate. Now, leaking pipes and indiscriminate water use when it's available are just some of the issues being faced, and some farmers are actually now calling for it to be resolved, one even calling for officials to be removed from office if they cannot help. Now, our newsroom reached out to the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, Honorable Natalia Whitley, who said this is an age-old problem that has been going on for years, but also that his ministry is committed to doing what they can to have it resolved. Listen in.
Agriculture for many, many years has gone through a great deal of neglect. As a result, there are many problems which need to be solved. One problem that needs to be solved is the water situation in Paraquita Bay. The first thing we did as a government is to have an informal policy between the Minister of Transportation and myself to provide the farmers at Paraquita Bay with water. This was not the case before. There was questions of whether farmers had to pay for that water. The next thing we did was identify 160,000 gallon cistern, which was supposed to be used for the sewage treatment plant. But considering the fact the sewage treatment plant is not on stream, we used it for the purpose of water for farmers. We put a pump in the cistern and we hooked the cistern up to the distribution network. We then discovered that the distribution network was inadequate because it had many leaky pipes and many farmers who tapped into the main line and left the valves open. Therefore, when you pump the water out of the cistern, most of it goes into the ground as opposed to going to the farmers' farms. And you would turn on the water, and in a period of about 4 to 5 hours, all the water would be finished. So we knew that we had to fix the distribution network. So I am about to have a contract signed with a consultant that we identified to be able to fix the distribution network. In addition to that, we are making plans to put a reservoir on Paraquita Bay Hill so we can gravity feed water to the farmers and have a consistent supply of water. These problems are not overnight fixes. It requires investment. It requires willpower to get it done. And after many, many years of neglect, certainly it's time to have these problems resolved, and I fully intend to resolve them.
Ron, here we see the minister, of course, making a verbal commitment and, of course, working along with the Minister for Communication, Works, and the rest, of course, Honorable Kai Raima, making a commitment to get water to the farmers. But I think at this point, farmers are just sick and tired. Like the minister said, this is an old issue. Clearly, we've seen farmers suffering at the hands of successive governments. But I believe at this point, especially where we are really chanting and pushing for food security, I think now more than ever, we need to really put our money where our mouth is.
It is more important for us to really just fix the problem, I'd say, at the end of the day. When we look at other issues in the territory, it's easy to cast blame, but at the end of the day, when a problem is presented, we need to come up with viable solutions to assist farmers, just like you said, in these very trying times where food security is a major concern.
Paramount. Our viewers still ahead. We are speaking with Mr. Ralston Grandfather Henry. He, of course, is the childhood coach of Rikkoi Brathwaite, who was named the Men's Track Athlete of the Year. All that and so much more when 284 News returns.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works. Viewers, welcome back. Continuing on the local scene, on Wednesday, March 17th, 2021, Virgin Islands-born athlete Rikkoi A. Brathwaite was named the Men's Track Athlete of the Year when the Big Ten Conference announced the 2021 Big Ten's men and women's indoor track and field Sports Season Award, Postman Season Award recipients as selected by the conference's head of coach. Now, Brathwaite A Jr. at Indiana University recently won the 60 meter at the 2021 Big Ten Indoor Championships in Ohio on Saturday, February 27, 21, clocking at a personal best of 6.55 seconds to break the Big Ten record. He also held the #1 spot in the NCAA for the indoor 60 meter following his record breaking. Joining us to discuss Brathwaite's continued success is his longtime coach, Ralston Grandfather Henry. Mr. Henry, welcome back and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We are seeing remarkable things. You have been coaching Rikkoi since he was 5 years old, am I correct?
Yes.
Now, when you look at his success and you see all that he's been able to accomplish, bring us up to speed. What has he been up to and how do you feel about it?
How I feel about it, first of all, I feel proud to see where Rikkoi has gone. Rikkoi went through a lot. Rikkoi had an injury 1 year, I think one of his year in high school, and a lot of people think that he was done, and
wow.
He actually battled back, went through physiotherapy, went through the whole works, and then he came back. And when he went to Grenada 1 year for Carifta, he missed that gold medal. He missed out on the medals completely, but he missed because it was a very tight race. And I turned to the other coach and I said, he's back. He's back. Rikkoi,
definitely he's back.
He's back. And what we all saw on Saturday is going to be some serious problem outdoor. Trust me. If anyone knows Rikkoi, I haven't spoken to Rikkoi since last week, Wednesday. He got third, and I'm not going to speak to him until maybe Monday. Give him time to get himself together. And if I know my Rikkoi, we looking at the Olympic qualifier. We're looking at breaking the national record in the 100 and the 200 and qualifying for Tokyo.
This is amazing. Now, you not only work with Rikkoi, but you work with a lot of other young athletes in the British Virgin Islands. Of course, Rikkoi is doing his thing and he continues to excel, and we are so proud of him. And we'd like to congratulate you as well for someone who's been working for him with a very long time. But I want you to speak to the sports program here in the British Virgin Islands and its potency, its legitimacy. We continue to see athletes travel away and succeed and put us on the map. Speak to our capabilities here in the BVI when we train and send athletes away.
Well, what our sports program is, how should we put it? I sat with a couple guys a couple of weeks ago, and one turned to me and he said, Grandpa, you realize that per capita, we are doing well to some of those countries who have more people than us. Because it's not just Rikkoi, it's those guys in basketball, those guys in sailing. It's so much of them. But what has happened is that athletics has set the tone for what is happening with all the other sport. Because what Mr. O'Neill, Ray O'Neill, Dag Samuel, and those guys have done, along with the Olympic Committee, they have invested a lot. And athletics was very reluctant. Athletics was not settling, and athletics is up there, and it's going to remain up there. And BVI now have the other sports who wants to be up there. And me now, I coach track, but Mr. Grant, my biggest thing is to see every sport at that level. And like I always say to the kids, this is a way to get a free education.
Understood. Well, we thank you so much for your contribution, and we want to congratulate you and the fellow coaches across the British Virgin Islands. Take, for example, our football team. They are now traveling and excelling, doing wonderful things. So we want to take this time to wish them.
And Dimai Hodge.
Yes, to wish them the best as well.
Playing. They're playing to Dimai Hodge. He's playing in his first ever Match Madness tonight.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
He's playing Houston tonight at 7. I think that will be on ESPN.
Definitely, and we will be continuing to support all our athletes, viewers. We thank you so much for tuning in to 284 News. Of course, your source for honest and impartial news. We appreciate you. Happy Friday to all. Have a wonderful weekend.